Hi, welcome to Mission Driven Monday. My name is Chantel Adams, and I am here with my friend Amanda White. Amanda and I actually met, I think, back in 2012 or 2013. I was at a bloggers conference in North Carolina called Illume, and I found out that Amanda was going to be there, and everyone was really excited because she was this big blogger who actually started blogging, I think, back in 2005 before blogging was even cool. And she had this great resource for parents of young children called Truth in the Tinsel, which was all about teaching young kids about Christmas. And anyway, I was like, Amanda White. And then I saw her picture and I was like, I've seen this person before. Where have I seen her? And it turns out that we actually went to church together. And so anyway, here's this person.
The other part of that story is that I'm like telling my blog friends that I know on the internet that I've probably never met in real life, or maybe I had met them in real life several times because I did lots of things in real life with my blog. Anyway, hey guys, guess what? My pastor's wife is going to be at Illume, and I haven't met her yet. And they're like, how have you never met your pastor's wife? And I'm like, well, I just haven't. We go to a big church, okay? And so I'm going to meet her at Illume. And they're like, I do not understand you.
I know. It's so funny. There's just all of these people and they're doing these interesting things and we walk right past each other all the time and we don't even know. So anyway, I get to interview her today for Mission Driven Monday. I'm really excited about that because Amanda is truly a mission driven woman. She has two kids. They are 13 and 10. And gosh, I feel like those are such awesome ages. You have a brand new teenager and then you have a kid in double digits for the first time. So that's really fun.
It is fun.
Yeah. All right. So are you ready to get started?
Let's do it.
Okay. So Amanda, when you look over your life, and I think you told me you're 42 years old.
I just had my birthday and I did turn 42. But the entire, I literally, at least for the last 6 months, I thought I was 42 and I was going to be turning 43. And then my kids and I are counting and I'm like, oh, I'm only 42. Yes. I got a year back.
You got a whole year back. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, when you look back over these 42 years that feel like 43, what are you the most proud of?
So this is going to sound super dumb. I've been really thinking about this because you mentioned don't necessarily just be like, oh, my marriage, my family, I'm so proud of them, which I totally am. And as a mom, and really, if someone asks me, what do you do? I'm a mom. That's just what I am. And I am also going to say just a mom at one level because I'm just going through daily life. You know what I mean? And so I am so proud of that. And then, of course, I'm like, well, I have this blog and I have this little platform, not whatever. And I've written these books and we've done all these things. And I am proud of that. But also that brings me a lot of stress in my life. So sometimes to be like, I'm so proud that I did this or I got to write this book, that's honestly not it. So this is going to sound so weird. I am proud of this journey that I have had from when I was young. I thought I was going to, I had every idea that I knew what my future was going to be. I wanted to work full-time in ministry. My husband and I wanted to travel, and we did that. We helped start a church. We used to travel and speak at camps and conferences for kids and things like that. All the things that you could do. We wanted that to be full time. We worked at a mega church and, we did all of it. Yeah. And I really wanted that. And I mean, I guess we were good at it. I don't even know. Now it's been years. So, it's what we did. And I still have an eye for, how programming and performance and things like that. I'm still interested in how things work. And when my daughter was born, we ended up leaving the church that we were at, this huge church, moved back to Atlanta where my husband's family is. And I was just in charge of my daughter. And I was like, I wasn't the mom that was like grumpy about taking care of my daughter. I loved it. I loved taking care of my daughter. I loved being a mom. But I also was like, I used to take care of 600 kids. I used to do all these things that I had planned for that God wanted me to do. And now I'm like in this house trying to get the dishes done and take care of a 1-year-old. And I just felt, that like I'm not doing what God wants me to do. I'm not doing the big plans that I had been planning and trying to accomplish, and really kind of had accomplished what I thought I wanted to do. And so then I got into blogging. Like you said, it was back in the dark ages when people did not blog or did not know what it was. Oh, a blog? What is that exactly? And when I started writing, I started just slowly building that little platform. And I have the book that you said, Truth in the Tinsel. It's a Christmas ebook for families to, you go through all 24 days of December and you walk through the story in the Bible and you make a little ornament. Okay. But as I got into that, not knowing, I was not trying to build a thing or write a book. And I'm saying that in all caps. I wasn't trying to do all that. I was just trying to share what I did. That's really what I'm really good at, is sharing. I think if I like something, you should like it. If it's my favorite, it should be your favorite. I'll tell you about it. So when all of that started, and I'm not saying any of this to brag and say all the things that I have done and accomplished, but just to clarify what I feel like has happened in my life. When I released that book, I don't even know how many I've sold now, but over the first 6 weeks that I sold it, which obviously you're only selling Christmas books for 6 weeks anyway.
Right.
But the first little section of time, I sold, now I might not get the numbers right, but I think I sold 6,000 copies of it, which honestly, and I know it's an ebook and it was super cheap that year, but people who write real books would be so happy to sell 6,000 copies of a real book.
Yeah.
So it was, I was dumbfounded. I was absolutely, I always say my heart felt flattened by it. I could not believe it. And when I look back at, I thought I wanted to be influencing all these people from the stage and having all these people working underneath me. And then suddenly here I am with my one daughter in my one little house. And I did get to somehow still minister and speak to thousands of people. And it was so weird that both of those things happened, that really my vision of what I wanted my life to be, it kind of happened, but in the absolute opposite way that I had imagined. And now I'm even getting away from that. I still technically have all of that platform, but it's not the same how it used to be. The internet is just different every year. That I'm still comfortable with where I am, and still, I feel like I think what I'm trying to say is that, and this is why I'm saying it sounds so dumb. The thing that I'm the most proud of is that I'm comfortable with where I am. And so if I have a title that says, you're a pastor at this church, or if I have the title that says you have so-and-so 1,000 followers, or if I'm the mom of a 13 and 10-year-old that takes my kid to ballet and takes my kid to soccer 15 minutes later, that I'm comfortable there. And I still feel like the big plans, the all caps, God's will, the all caps, mission for my life is still, I'm comfortable it being making dinner for my family, or speaking to you on this, or writing a chapter of a book for something. Wherever I am, I feel like I've gotten comfortable in not desiring more. That is the longest way to answer that question.
No, that is so good, because I feel like, gosh, it is hard to come to that place. I feel like I was having this conversation with some girls from my Bible study a few weeks ago, and we were saying how it's kind of like in your 20s and 30s, it is all about more. Like, you just want more of everything, right? It's like more money, more kids, more status, more impact. Like, you want more of all this stuff. And then it's like when you turn 40, something kind of shifts in you and you realize, oh my gosh, I've had it all along. I had all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I know for me, it took a while for me to realize what it was I was looking for. And I did it was kind of a business blueprint model with this girl. Her name is Shanna Skidmore. And she said people have 4 core motivators. And so you're motivated either by time, by money, by impact, or by creative expression. And for me, I always thought I was motivated by impact. But what I realized after going through her blueprint model was that I thought I was motivated by impact because I thought I had to prove to everyone that what I did mattered. That it wasn't going to be enough for me to just be a mom. I hated it when somebody asked me, are you just a mom? I had to prove that I could do more. And then all of a sudden I realized, no. I do all these things for the creative expression. I just love doing it. And that has to be enough. I can't just be a mom, and I can write, or I can do these interviews, or I can hang out with my friends. I can do all of those things because I just love doing them.
yeah, and it can be pleasing to yourself. You know that that saying about oh gosh, I just forgot his first name, but Liddell, the guy who was he was a runner in the Olympics.
Yes.
And he said, I feel God's pleasure when I run.
Yes.
So like, that's what I'm saying is like, I just feel God's pleasure in everyday living. And I don't mean that as an excuse to not do hard things or not to do, you know, something that my kids need or something that I need to step out on and do. But I just feel no urgency to be somebody.
Right.
And so maybe that is 40, but I can see I can see it very clearly in my life of, you are fine. Like you're saying, you don't have to make an impact and show everything
right.
all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't.
Or compare yourself. And I think, you know, I know everyone talks about this and women's ministry talks about it all the time. Women's groups talk about it all the time about, you know, being Pinterest perfect and don't just look at people's Instagram feed, showing highlights. That is true, but also just deep within you, like you can be satisfied with who you are and where you are at any time.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a good message. I love that. So when you look at where you are right now in this time, what are you learning right now in this new season that you're in?
Well, I kind of have two answers for this, but I'll really specifically, the thing that has happened, and it's not about this whole life journey, but it's just about literally this season that I'm in right now. Over the last, between February and April, so like February, March, April, 3 months, I had about 5 or 6 people die that were close to me. It was not my dad or my brother or anything like that, but my best friend that I've had since I was in 6th grade. There's a group of us that are 6 of us that have been friends our entire lives. We get together, we talk every day, you know, apps and whatever.
Yeah.
And so I've had these friends forever and we've grown up. And if you have friends that you've had in every season, you know what a gift they are because they know you in every season and can understand you at every level that literally no one else can.
Yeah.
And her husband was 42 and died. She had to do CPR on him for 10 minutes before the EMTs got there. And he basically just died instantly. And they had only been married 5 years. And they were one of those kind of soulmate-ish couples that you just don't, I mean, they did everything together. Like those kind of people like that. Even people who are super in love are still not always the way this couple was. You know what I mean? And it just, clearly, it has devastated her beyond anything. But it really, really knocked me and our circle for a loop. And then having those other people die, my husband's uncle, a mentor of ours in our life, another family friend that we've known for years and years. And most of them were either sudden or tragic or too young. It wasn't like, it was like, oh, you know, my great grandma that's been sick. Yeah. Not that. And I don't know if I hate to say things that are so specific when I know that people from all over could be watching it, but you probably know about the little girl that died at our school and all of these. So it's been more than like, there's been like 5 in my circle, but like 10 in my sort of like peripheral circle. And it has, I mean, honestly, it wrecked me for a while. And I think what I have been learning in this season is the preciousness of life, the fleetingness. Is that a word? Fleetingness?
It is.
That, I mean, the people that I have in my life, the people that are around me, not just to appreciate them, but to actively, I don't even know, do all the things, say all the words, how important that is. And I can't even describe the emotion behind all that. And I know that other people who have lost very close people, I'm not trying to put myself in. She's the one that lost her husband. I mean, it's
no, I can feel it coming from you. Like just the empathy. I know.
So that like understanding of seeing your life clearly, we are absolutely grasping. And then along with that is the hope that I have in Jesus, that there's that scripture in Hebrews that talks about that hope is an anchor to the soul, or we have this hope as an anchor for the soul is what it says. Right. It's not specifically talking about this. I'm slightly taking out of context, but the point is that like, if I did not have the Lord and have this just this relationship with him, how more difficult this would be, and having hope in him. I don't know. So just this whole awareness of, and maybe it is also the thing we're talking about being 42. Your life clearly. I see my daughter in 5 years being graduated,
Yeah.
And so there's some of that too. But just so right now, I guess what I'm saying is that, I just see how fleeting life is, and I see how precious it is,
Mm-hmm.
and how precious the people are around me. And then also how precious my relationship with the Lord, because you could lose everything at any time just because everything is going good and we have all the things. I mean, I don't deserve any of this. It could be gone. And so to have that one hope and that one strand to him is an anchor for my soul. So
yeah. I feel like I think about, I know, it's like deep stuff. I feel like I think about that kind of thing more than I want to think about it. And I don't know if it's a product of getting older, or if it's a product of the type of work that we're in, where, we work in a church. And so there's just a lot of tragedy that comes our way. I mean, just we hear about it and we have to step into those messes with people, and it's very difficult. And so we think about it all the time. There was a quote that I read recently, and it was like, all of life could be boiled down to these two words, and it's basically wait and hope. And that's all we can do, as Christians, is, we're waiting. We're waiting for Jesus, but we're also have that hope that, our loved ones who are gone or whatever, that we'll see them again, and that is what's ahead for us. But yeah, like you, there's been too much. And I'm like, is there more, or am I just hearing about it more because of social media, or is it because I'm getting older? Like, what is it?
I thought that too. Maybe it's just we're getting older. And so of course, when you're closer to the end of life, then you're closer to the end of life. And so there's more of that.
Yeah.
Or maybe this is just the first time in my life that I've had a lot of, people die all the time. I know that. But I don't know. This has been something new in my life of, just really hard places. And like you said, going into messes with people and looking and saying, wow, we're not just all taking our kids to school and sitting down and watching whatever we watch on TV at night. I need to be making the meal for so-and-so. I need to be calling this person. I need to be putting on my schedule. His birthday's coming up and I need to send a card. Like, this is not just floating through life. This is being purposeful and specific about going into this mess with these people. And because there's no one else, like, this is what it's what you have to do. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I hear you. I'm right there with you.
I know that's sort of like a big downer, but that is where I have been. That is,
I know,
the season for, and to be in such a short amount of time into walking through. So, this is sort of a funny story on my part. It's not funny on her part, but we have a lot of land and we have a house on it that someone rents. And so even though I don't really know them very well, we still sort of know them because we live on the same land and we see them and have conversations about whatever. So her husband just had a heart attack and died 1 month after my best friend's husband died.
Oh gosh.
And so just, it's horrible. So, and she's probably the same age as me. And so I went over there and I brought her some bread and I was like, no, we don't really know each other. And I just want you to know that we're here for you. You can come bang on our door if you need us, whatever you need. And so she starts speaking and she starts crying. And so I put my arms around her and hug her and I just start sobbing because I can feel her emotion. Yeah. And I, knowing this month that I've walked through with my friend, knowing that emotion, and I am sobbing in her arms. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I know it's so hard. And then finally I let go and I realized she was not hugging me. I was hugging her sobbing. But I'm just feeling her emotion.
Yes.
Being empathetic.
I'm sure she appreciated that. I'm sure it was a real connection for both of you.
I'm sure she's like, I hope she doesn't come back over.
I don't know. She got that warm bread, so.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Well, this leads us into our third and final question. And I I really do love this question because I love to think about the future, even though, like we just said, like time is precious. None of us know how much longer we have. I still think it's fun to plan and to dream and to hope. And so when you think about your future, your aspirational self, tell me about the future you.
Yeah, well, first of all, I love that little phrase, aspirational self. That's really good. It's not just, I don't know, I feel like it's got plans in it when you say aspirational self, you know? Well, I don't know if you're a big Enneagram person, and I'm not a huge Enneagram nut, and I don't like type all the people that I know and read all the books, but I have read The Road Back to You. And I have known this about myself. I knew what I was like just reading the table of contents pretty much. And, you know, I read the book. But I'm a 9, and a 9 is a peacemaker. And I know that about myself. I've always known that. I am clearly I'm an empathetic person. And I can feel how other people are feeling. And I know, like, okay, let's wrap this conversation up. They're not digging this. Or, you know what, let's keep moving, or whatever the thing is.
Right.
But the deadly sin of a peacemaker is sloth. And so when I first read that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am the worst person alive. Like, who wants to be a sloth? That's awful. But as I continue to read it and really say, like, God, speak to me in this and what this is, I know this about myself, and it's all about avoiding conflict and staying away from hard things, bad things, because you want to have peace. And so you're going to be slow, and I'm not going to run to conflict. Some people love conflict, and I do not. I don't even want to return something that I bought that I don't like because I'm afraid they're going to be mad that I'm returning it. Okay. That is the slothfulness of me, of a 9. So, and I've always known that about myself, just not in the horrible word of sloth about myself. So there has always been a thing in my life, but once I kind of like read that through the Enneagram, I could see this more clearly. And this is a thing that is what I have for my aspirational self, is what I'm saying is I want to be a diligent, purposeful person. Okay, if I have to be a slow, slothful, turtle-like, purposeful, diligent person, that's fine. But I want to be diligent. I don't want to get to the end of, let's say, in parenting, when my daughter graduates, when my son graduates, when my son turns 16, that I'm like, whoa, how did that happen? Ooh, I haven't had all the conversations that I wanted to have with you. Or that when I get to empty nest, that I look at my husband and go, where did you come from? Or when I get to, something that I do online or writing and be like, oh, I don't know how to do that anymore because I haven't been paying attention, or, to what's happening, or to my skill or whatever. I want to be a diligent, I want to be a diligent person. And there's this virtues curriculum that I have used with my kids in homeschool. You can use it. It's not a homeschool thing. It's for family devotional or for public schools, but it's called We Choose Virtues.
Okay.
And so they give you a little virtue, they give you a little card, and it's got a story on it and like a memory jogger thing. But the diligent one's the first word we learned years ago. And it says, I start fast, I work hard, and I finish strong. And I don't know, that speaks to me so much, clearly because I am that sloth in my back of my mind, that I want to start fast, work hard, and finish strong. And that's what I want for my parenting. I want to start fast on the conversations that I need to have. And I want to finish strong in that and work hard in all of those discipline areas when I don't really want to do it and I don't want to cause conflict. I want to work hard in them. So start fast, work hard, finish strong, being that diligent person, and then being purposeful in what I do. I don't want to there's another verse that I can't remember, but the word in there is talking about if we don't pay attention to, I'm not even going to say it right. If we don't pay attention to or hold on to like the truth that we know, that it's easy to drift. And I can see that in myself. Like, I'm not trying to actively disobey, what I believe are true words from the Lord. I'm not actively trying to be mean to my husband or, let my kids run wild. But it's just easy to drift in your life. Here we are today, and then tomorrow we're here, and then the next day, and the next day we're here, and then suddenly you're over here going, what happened to my life? Who are these kids that I don't even know? So that diligence and purposefulness are really, that I would love for my children to look back on their, growing up with me and saying, man, my mom, she was purposeful in everything that she did with us. She was diligent, maybe not in doing the dishes or doing the laundry or,
Yeah.
keeping my ballet thing clean or whatever, but she was diligent in, leading me in the right places and coming to me when I needed her and, or whatever the things are. So those are the things that I think about a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good that you're very self-aware like that. I have studied the Enneagram a little bit. I am a 5, which is an investigator.
Yeah.
And so I read a lot.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I like to talk about the things that I read a lot. It's really boring.
Which is why you have this right here. This is perfect.
It really is. It really is perfect. But yeah, I love learning about what other people are though. And then also, like you said, like, oh my gosh, I hated finding out that I was a sloth. And I'm like, when I read what I was, I'm like, oh my gosh, I hate myself. I mean, it was the worst. It was the worst. And so trying to really embrace that and to figure out how can I be the best version of me
Exactly.
in the midst of this, that's good stuff to think about for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I will be posting links to all the things that we talked about here, some of the quotes that we mentioned, as well as the books that we talked about. I will post a link to Amanda's website. You can order her Truth in the Tinsel. And then I know that you have one for the resurrection too. Can you remind me what that one's called?
It's called A Sense of the Resurrection.
Yes.
And yeah, it's a shorter devotional thing because Easter's not as long as far as how you celebrate it.
Right.
And it's really fun. It has to do, the reason it's called A Sense of the Resurrection, it has to do with your 5 senses. So every activity goes along with either something that you're smelling or tasting or hearing or touching or seeing, obviously. Awesome. So it's really fun.
Yeah. Well, you've got lots of fun resources on your website. And just a fun fact, I mean, Amanda, like we talked about how she's such a huge blogger back in the day. And I know you said you still do movie reviews and such. But yeah, she's blogged for Disney, for Pampers, Nestle, World Vision, Samaritan's Purse, like lots of really, really big names.
I mean, I have had some amazing experiences through my blog. And that time period of when all that happened, I don't know how much that exists anymore unless you were like someone who has like 5 million subscribers on YouTube. I know those people, but like I was just literally a random mom blogger. I would blog about like the TV shows I was watching, like eating Cheez-Its. I mean, how I love the color purple. Like, I mean, literally the color purple. Like, I don't even know how this stuff happened. And I have had some amazing experiences. And I was telling Chantel earlier, the only thing that I still get as a perk, I will get a free book every once in a while, but is I get invited to see movies all the time before they come out. We're talking about like one day before they come out. It's not even that of a perk. I still have to drive there. You still have to buy the popcorn. You still probably have to pay for parking, but it's exciting to me to see a movie a day early.
Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty awesome. It's been so much fun talking to you today, Amanda, and thanks for joining me on this edition of Mission Driven Monday. I will see you again next week.